Hello, my friend. Welcome to this week's episode, all about the energy of the new moon in Aries solar eclipse. So, the energy for me has been pretty intense, I'm not gonna lie. Well, I guess I did lie in my last video because what I've been feeling is that the eclipses that are on the axis of the Pisces and Virgo axis will be a little bit lighter than the Aries Libra axis, but we have one more Aries new moon eclipse. So I think we are still feeling that intensity, that Aries, especially Aries intensity. We also have the equinox in between these eclipses, so that adds another layer of um, energetic intensity. The Schumann resonance has been all over the place. We've had a ton of solar flares. Um, there was a coronal hole on our sun. So there's just been a lot of energetic movement. So if you haven't been feeling yourself, if you've been feeling out of sorts in your head, just know that that's totally normal. Okay. So let's talk about this new moon that's happening on the 29th. It is happening at 3:58 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's early Saturday morning for us here in California. So I obviously have everything adjusted to where I'm living, so you can figure it out from there. But here in California, it will be happening at 3:58 in the morning. So we obviously have a lot of energy in this Pisces, Aries area of the sky. So we have the sun and the moon at the same degrees in Aries, of course, because it's a new moon. So yeah, sun and moon in Aries at 9 degrees. We have Mercury, which is retrograde in Aries at 0 degrees, which is a critical degree. We also have Neptune in Pisces at 29 degrees. And I believe Neptune will be shifting into Aries on the 31st of this month. So it's got just a couple days left before it transits into Aries. We have Venus retrograde in Pisces. And I believe that's happening. Venus will transit from Aries into Pisces on Friday. So Saturday it'll be at 28 degrees. It's currently, I'm recording this on Wednesday, it's currently in Aries still. So it'll transit into Pisces in between now and then. We have obviously the North Node in Pisces, and then we have Saturn in Pisces, which is at 10 degrees. So, like I said, a lot of energy down here. And what I was kind of getting for this theme that we're picking up on with this eclipse is impulsivity and dealing with things of the mind. Aries rules the mind. It can be an impulsive sign. Have we learned our lessons around being impulsive, listening to our ego, listening to the traps of the mind? And can we lean into some of this Pisces energy that is more about, and again, I think I talked about this in the last video about the Pisces full moon eclipse a couple weeks ago, where Pisces and Aries are so different. They are just completely different energies. But I think what's really beautiful that Spirit was showing me before, when I was just kind of picking up on the energy for this eclipse, is that the medicine, both Pisces and Aries have medicine for each other, right? So if we can look at the medicine of Pisces to Aries impulsivity and this brashness and this kind of instinctual nature of Aries, the way that we can combat that is by using our psychic senses, using our Pisces gifts, which are psychic senses, which are going with the flow, which are really just like taking our time with things, sitting in things, which can be a double-edged sword for Pisces. It's like it's their blessing and their curse. That it's their gift that they can sit in emotions so easily, but sometimes they can sit in them too long. Sometimes it can, lead to depression. A lot of, I don't want to, it's a pretty big stereotype, but the stereotype of the Pisces energy is people who have tendencies toward depression, addiction, all of these types of things because they are so good at sitting in the uncomfortable emotions, going to the depths of emotions and spirituality and consciousness and all these things. So I think what Saturn is really doing for us in this eclipse is giving us structure to these Pisces emotions and saying, can we use this compassion? Can we use this depth? Can we use this psychic knowing to combat the impulsivity of the sun and the moon right now that's in Aries? That's causing us, and especially with Mercury at 0 degrees of Aries, I feel like there is a tendency, what I was kind of hearing is maybe saying things like off the cusp, saying things that you don't really mean, saying things that like kind of an eruption where it's just like something that's been bottled up for so long and it kind of just boils over and you say things and maybe they don't come out in the best way. And again, there's a blessing and a curse, a double-edged sword to both Pisces and Aries energy of, it's the blessing is they're very direct, they say what they mean, but you can also maybe say things in a way that lack craft, that lacked tact, that lack a empathy for what someone else is going through or what you might actually want somebody to feel. So I think what I'm kind of getting with both of these energies is it's almost like it's actually it can be a really beautiful energy because, like I said, it's like we get this directness and this forward movement with the Aries energy, and then we get this real empathy and compassion and understanding of other people with the Pisces energy as well. So as much as it is kind of volatile right now, I also feel like there's a really thin veil that we can see, like, okay, we know this is happening for a reason. We know that this is happening for a reason. Like, I can trust that even though things feel on edge, that there is something going on behind the scenes that's helping us and that is showing us like that everything's going to work out exactly as it should. Okay. Um, Let me see. But yeah, it's interesting too because I think honestly the retrograde is kind of helping us with Mercury sorry, Mercury retrograde is kind of helping us with Mercury in Aries because retrograde is often about, the words, review, um reflect, I was going to say recycle, reduce, reuse, recycle. But all of those kind of words where it's like re-looking at things from the past. So I think the benefit of Mercury retrograde right now is that with this direct energy, this forward momentum of all these placements in Aries, is that the retrograde is helping us to be able to like really reflect on what we're actually saying and maybe take a pause. So I think that it's helping us in that way where it's not just like complete forward movement, complete eruption, complete directness. It's helping us to really take a step back and look at like, okay, do I really want to say this? Do I really want to be this direct? Is this the time for that? Like, and sometimes there is. Sometimes we do need to just be direct, say what we mean, and not be afraid to go there. Okay. Let's see what else I wanted to talk about. The other thing too with this is we have Mars in Cancer and it's squaring the sun and the moon. And Mars in Cancer, they call it kind of it's like a domicile placement in astrology because Mars is the planet of forward action. It's the actually ruled by Aries. So it's interesting that Mars is in Cancer and they say Mars is in its fall in Cancer. So it's not a great placement But I do think that it's helping in a way to again bring some softness to this energy. And it's almost like what I'm hearing is like, as much as we really want to like just push forward right now and get everything going and get everything going in the direction that we want it to move in, there's this sense that we do need to still be very much aware again of other people's feelings, because Cancer is a water sign. It's being mindful of other people's feelings and how they're going to interpret something. It's also about really again using your intuition to take the next move, make the next step. Let me see. I'm just kind of channeling all this today. I didn't really want to come in with any sort of notes or anything, so this is all just completely channeled. Um, so I feel like that, but with the Mars square, a square is an aspect of tension. So not only is Mars in Cancer kind of in a quote unquote bad position. I don't really like to say that, but because they're nothing really bad in astrology, but conventionally speaking, it's not in a great position. And it's also squaring the sun and the moon. And so it's almost like, yeah, like I said, it's like they just keep reminding me, it's like, as much as we want to move forward right now, there's still things we need to learn. There's still things that spiritually need to happen. Well, that's interesting. There's still things spiritually that really need to happen. Um, before we really take this leap into the next generation, into the next phase, into the next way of living. Okay. And I usually don't get that like esoteric or woo woo, but for whatever reason, that's what's coming up. Um, Let me see if there's anything else that kind of catches my eye. The only other thing is we also have Pluto in Aquarius, and that is sextiling. Let me see. I think that's sextiling Mercury. Yeah. Which is a supportive placement or a supportive aspect. So Pluto to me, and I'm sure you guys have heard this, is the planet of power. It's the planet of leadership. It's the planet of death and rebirth, transformation. It's ruled by Scorpio. Um, and what it feels like when it's sextiling Mercury is giving voice to more masses of the people. And again, I think I talked about this in the last video about like I can't remember. But what's I've been really aware of over the last couple of weeks is this push and pull between giving people a voice like on social media and where science and convention what's the word, conventionality, I don't think that's the right word, but like tradition and education and where all of those things play a role versus people's actual lived in experiences, um and what people are voicing through things like social media. Like again, think Mercury is the planet of communication, and so there's this power struggle I think that's happening right now of these kind of systems that have been in place of media, of education, and how can we find a balance between science and education and what people have actually just experienced, and can we merge like sort of these more holistic, untested ways of living and bring in science and bring in um, what people are speaking to and what people have really lived in their life. So I don't think that that's something that's going to obviously be answered overnight. I think this is just going to be a theme with Pluto, especially with Pluto in Aquarius, is where where does where how do we kind of come to terms with power in science, in technology, in science, in medicine, and where do all of these things lead and where do these things go to? Okay. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, that's all that I'm kind of picking up on right now. We got a little bit longer of Jupiter and Gemini. Um, I want to say that that transits into Cancer in May or June. I can't remember of this year. So that'll be a pretty interesting shift. The other thing that they're wanting me to remind you is to look back to what was happening in your life in March of 2023, specifically March 2020, March 21st, 2023. Um, because that's the cycle that we're closing out with this last eclipse in Aries. So definitely take a look at what was happening around that time. And yeah, I just looked at my timer of how long I've been talking. It was 15 minutes, 55 seconds. So 555. So lots of change I feel has happened for a lot of you that are watching this. Um, so look back to what was happening at the time. Okay, let's take a look at the cards. Also, I really like doing it this way rather than me just like talking to the camera. I love being able to like look at the actual chart as I'm doing it. So hopefully you guys like it too. All right, let's take a look. Okay, what do they have for us? Okay, let me see. You know what? I'm gonna pause this real quick and I'm gonna so I can make myself full screen. Just kidding. I can't do that on this software. Bear with me, guys. Like I said last week, I'm trying not to be perfect. I'm just showing up and doing everything that I can while I get this YouTube started. Okay, let me see. So show me what I need to know for this eclipse in Aries. Okay. Okay. So the first card is Nine of Earth, and it says enjoying life's little luxuries, spending quiet time alone, successful self-employment. Okay, what I'm kind of feeling with this card is two things. So the first thing that I'm feeling is like needing to use your resources appropriately. Um, to me, what this feels like, I think this is also in conjunction with like the equinox, needing to really take a look at like your finances, look at like your home and what you have in your home. Not even just like from a cleaning perspective, but like spring cleaning, but like what you actually have in terms of clothes, in terms of extra food, in terms of I don't know, like even like your dishes and you're like really taking like an inventory of what you have, and deciding if those are things you need to keep or if there are things that you need to give away. Um, the other thing that's coming up for me with this is you needing to put yourself out there. So if you are a business owner or if you are a service provider or even if you're like in a corporate job, just really like putting yourself out there and not being afraid to ask for what you need. So I think this is where some of that, like what I was talking about with like directness and impulsivity and really speaking up for yourself. Again, Aries rules the self. So I think there's an ability and an opportunity right now for with Mercury and Aries for you to really like speak up for yourself, for you to really lay claim to what it is that you desire, what it is that you want, and what it is that you deserve, and not being afraid to kind of, they're showing me like putting down the gauntlet and saying, like, this is what I want, and I'm not afraid to like ask for it and be direct in asking for it. The next card is the High Priestess. And it's in the reverse position, which I normally don't really do reversals with this deck for whatever, with this tarot deck for whatever reason. But I am kind of feeling like I want to read this in the reversal. Because what I feel like is, it's, which is funny because this card is all about intuition. And, which I have talked a little bit about in this video. And so I feel like what this card is really asking you to do is to listen to your intuition, but make sure you know what is your intuition versus what is fear and what's your ego. And I think what's happening with a lot of you is you're getting confused on like, and part of that like impulsivity is like, oh, that's my intuition. This is what it's telling me to do. And it's like, no, 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 like that might not be your intuition. So I really want you to like think about, well, no, don't think about like really sit with, and I think that's again like what I've talked about with this Pisces energy is being comfortable with like just sitting with and being able to distinguish between what's your intuition and what's fear. And sometimes your intuition might not sound like how you think it's going to sound, because what can sometimes happen is you're if you're in a state of fear, you're going to think what is your intuition is like the fearful voice. Okay, so I hope that's making sense, but that's just kind of what's coming up with that card. The next card is the Dreamer, and it says, a leap of faith, follow your dreams, unexpected opportunities. So for some of you, there could be like new job offers, new opportunities, new chances to meet people. And I almost feel like what they're saying is like, you just got to take this leap of faith. And that's what I love about, again, like in terms of the strengths of Aries, is like, they're not afraid to just like go for it. And so I think right now is a really good opportunity for you to take that leap of faith, to go for what you want. Again, be direct about and the going for it, and not being wishy-washy about what you're going for. It's like really having the confidence and the embodiment to step in, step out, being like, okay, this is what I'm doing and this is where I'm going. And I'm not going to look back and ponder or wonder about what I could have done. I'm going to really like take that step forward and go for it. The next card is the Emperor, and it says organization and logic, structure and discipline, leadership. Let me see. It's so funny because what they're saying to me is like, for those of you that are watching this, you guys will know what that card is. Um, you know who this is, you know what this card is about. Very vague, I know, but that's just what I'm getting. Okay, interesting. The last card is Nine of Air. It says, expecting the worst, self-fulfilling prophecies, sleepless nights. Again, this is about you listening to your ego, not connecting to God, your spirit team, and thinking that things that are happening are because of God, your spirit team, the universe, when really they're like, you're creating everything that you're doing. So stop giving your power away to something outside of you. And kind of taking back control. Again, there's that Aries energy of like needing to take back control from your own worst enemy, which is yourself, your ego, these protective parts of us that end up kind of hurting us and keeping us in our comfort zone, or our protective parts that think that they're helping us, but they're not really. Um, so very interesting. All right, that feels good to me. They just like cut it off. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Definitely let me know how you're all feeling with this energy. Again, I know that there's been a lot going on astrologically with the Schumann resonance, all of the things. So please take it easy on yourself. Again, if you're not feeling like your typical self, or you're just feeling like a little dazed and confused, just know that that's totally normal. So, sending you all lots and lots of love. I will talk to you soon and see you in a couple weeks.